Great. All right, I'll get you to begin with your full name and your relationship to the area.
Dorothy Mary Howse, and I think I should mention that my father was a Methodist minister, so we moved around quite a lot of country areas in between times. I can list those if you want.
Yeah, give us a few of those. Are they in Western Australia?
Oh, well, I was born in Perth because my mother had lost 2 children at birth, and so Dad wanted Mum. He was in the country, and just after I was born, we had to move to Dumbleyung and then into Wagen when the war really got going, and so Dad had to cover a big area. What I can remember most then was you had to have shades over your car windows, and you weren't allowed to have the lights on in the car. So it was a bit tricky because he had to go and take services in various other country places from there, but the material that they used on the windows, we had pencil cases, made into pencil cases later on, which I think I've got rid of those that now. But as I say, from then we moved around quite a lot. First of all to Wagen, so Dumbleyung wasn't far from Wagen, but we moved into Wagen, then to Albany, then to Nedlands, then to Fremantle, then to Yokine, it was called Chewett Hill in those days, and then Jundana, and then Balga, and Westminster changed its name to Westminster when the Reid Highway went through. We experienced a bushfire in the area where the Reid Highway goes through, and it burnt right up to our back fence. So,
how old were you then?
Oh, well, I was grown up then. I'd been teaching for a number of years.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit more about that bushfire and what your memories are of that?
Yes, well, as I say, I had planted trees, and I was worried about the trees at the back of the property because I was afraid that they'd get burnt. But it burnt. They had a lot of sort of shrubbery, natural shrubbery, and weeds, and goodness knows what, before the Reid Highway went through. And so when the fire happened, I'm down by the fence trying to hold a hose to put out any fire, but of course it was far too big for me to manage. But I had to try and save my trees. But then, of course, later on we experienced the building of the Reid Highway, and also a new bridge over to allow the traffic in Wanneroo Road to go over the entrance to Reid Highway. Mm-hmm. So we had quite a bit of building going on. Then we had the shopping centre. They knocked down all the houses and built the shopping centre, which later they altered, and now it's changed direction now. It's the one that's on the corner of Victoria Road and Wanneroo Road. Mm-hmm. And there's also what was originally it's become the church for the people from, I can't think for the minute, it'll come back to me in a moment, but that was a hall that was let there, and later on it's become a church. They also built on the spare land on that corner the undertaker, and then next to that there was a beautiful dahlia garden. The people grew some most beautiful flowers, and of course it was very sad when our neighbours were first forced to move because they went round. There was a block of land behind the where the undertaker is, and then there was a sort of a road or track behind that, so that was free land, and they came along Victoria Road and went to each person late in the afternoon and said, "We want you to sell up to us." And our friend over the road, he didn't want to move, and they said, "Oh well, we'll build round you." So he was forced to move, and so was the neighbour. The other people sold their places quite easily. Originally it was Pine Glades Shopping Centre, but of course now it's Stirling Central Shopping Centre. And of course we still get a horrendous amount of traffic past the house. And as I say, at the moment someone is watching the traffic because of the speed and the noise. And of course all the very big vehicles have to go up Victoria Road and go into the shopping centre there, because the other entrance is on a steep slope to go in. So that makes a difference, but it's been very good to see the change in the speed and the noise of the traffic while this guy's on the corner watching them.
Dorothy, when you first moved, was it Jundana or Chewett Hill?
Yes, well we went first of all, well as I say, Wagen to Albany, and then up to Nedlands, and then after Nedlands to Fremantle, and then to Yokine, or it's called Chewett Hill in those days.
Yeah.
And now I'm out in Westminster, which was Balga.
Yeah. How old were you when you first came to live in the city of Stirling, around this area?
Well, I was grown up. I'd been teachers college, not long. I went to John Curtin High School because we were living in Fremantle first.
Yeah.
And so I had to travel down from, it was called Chewett Hill, and I used to have to catch a bus at 7 a.m. The bus took me past Dog Swamp, and it really was a swamp in those days. In winter you got a lot of flooding, and so the bus had to go round the other side of it. And then I got off at West Perth and got on a train and went by train to Fremantle. Then I had to either walk or there was a bus in the morning that took me up to John Curtin, because we were amongst officially in our fourth year we were the first ones at the high school. They had some other students, but it was a tech on the same site. And of course John Curtin was built on an old cemetery, which made it rather interesting to think about.
When you just mentioned that the Dog Swamp was really a swamp, can you describe what the place looked like in the area around that?
It was terrible, but there was a building, a little bridge, and a building that belonged to a certain club. But when the water would extend right across, and of course there was no building there apart from this bridge with this club on the end of the wooden bridge, and because they built the shopping centre there later on, but the housing wasn't as dense, really. Rather strangely, we were living isn't it silly, forget the name of the street. Anyway, they built a new church in Golfview Street, and then they built a new manse for us to live in, Raymond Street. That's what I said I'd remember. And so they built the church there, and later on the men built the hall. The actual church members, they had to dig a cellar. I can remember watching my dad from over the road helping to dig out the cellar. That church was later sold, but well after the time we left.
What would they need a cellar for in a church?
Well, storage, of course. They were going to put on programs, concerts and things like that. And so they decided to do the cellar. But that building's still standing. It's used by another church now. And as I say, Golfview Street does not. We were in Raymond Street, and then of course the manse was built in Golfview Street. So we're over the road. And when my sister got married, my father walked her across the road to give her away, and another minister held on with my brother-in-law's minister. He sort of started the proceedings so Dad could walk his daughter across for her wedding.
From the house to the church?
The church, yes.
And then did everyone walk back again for the reception?
No, we went somewhere else in Mount Lawley, I think it was.
Yeah.
For the...
What was your house like back then? It was very modern, the housing around here now, but what did it used to be like?
Very well designed, because it had... they made one bedroom into two by building the wardrobe across between the two, but they actually made a mistake because they put the drawers where the door was. And if they'd switched it around, it would have been far more convenient. But I don't think men think of these things. And as I say, when our English relatives came, they couldn't get over that we could go out into the backyard and have all the ferns and things like that, because they were used to English London. So it was a lot different for them, and they were thrilled and wrote home and say that we'd provided them with buckets of cold water to cool their feet because they'd been walking around Perth all day. But it was a lovely house. It had a big window at the front, and then there was the doorway, the passage, and then the first bedroom. But it was lovely to have the lounge room, and then the dining room and the kitchen. Very well designed.
Mm-hmm. Is that house still there?
No, it's been knocked down. Mm-hmm. They did have we did have to make a shelter for my car. I was very lucky because Dad parked in the garage and I parked behind, but I got my brother and other friends helped put up this support, and we were rather tickled to see my father listed as a builder when they sold the house after we'd left. It was rather funny.
Can I ask what kind of car?
I bought a Mini. Gee, I love my Mini. Little blue one, I had it for 10 years. And then I sold it. But that was what used to have fun, because I had to carry around if the car didn't start, you had certain things to do. And I had to make sure I had that in the car because it'd get jammed otherwise.
Were there good services around in the area when you were
What do you mean,
living
by
here?
garages or?
Yeah, or just when things like that would happen, or what was the community environment back then?
Well, they were all new houses, as a matter of fact. They weren't very old. We had a driving instructor living over the road from us. Trying to think of what his brother was well known. I can't think now. Getting too old, you forget these things.
Yeah. Can you talk about your history with the Osborne Seniors Club?
Well, as I say, as soon as I retired, I joined up, and as I say, I've spent many happy years. I had a couple of years as president of the club, and that was quite an experience in itself, because like most groups, it can be very difficult to get people who will take the various tasks on, the committee, hard-working group. And of course, originally we were in a different building to what we're in now. They knocked down the Autumn Centre, which was very, very nice. And they used to serve the meals there, the lunch meal, and people came in and actually ate there. And later on, of course, with Stirling, they delivered it to people's homes when they knocked that building down. When the building was being knocked down, we met over in Nollamara Autumn Club. So we enjoyed that building there it had its difficulties too, because it wasn't as well designed, but you get used to whatever is there.
Is there a good club to be a part of?
Yes, definitely. As I say, I've had more than 20 years, so I've seen all sorts of things. People come and people go. You're still some people that are still working hard, and you know, but unfortunately, the older we get, the harder it is to get people who are prepared to do the tasks.
Mm-hmm. What kind of tasks?
Oh well, for example, we have various activities. We've got the bowls and the line dancing. That was very, very popular. We had to watch the numbers there because it exceeded a certain number. I think it was around about the 50 mark. We had to say no to them joining. And we had meetings and concerts, and so there was a lot. And of course, sometimes the committee prepared a meal and served it. Mm-hmm. As I say, it wasn't very, it's very difficult getting people willing to even sweep the floor.
Mm. Tell me, what is so good about the Seniors Club? What do you get out of it the most?
Well, the important thing is I live alone, and so I'm meeting up with other people. Some I've known for years and years, some are new, and we enjoy talking together. Well, we had a hairdresser, we had a podiatrist, and we had the children's one down the wing. Mm-hmm. Towards the front, and as I say, we missed the hairdresser and we missed the podiatrist. Yeah. But that's been taken over by City of Stirling staff.
Yeah. Well, it's all changing, isn't it?
It's changed a lot. Mm-hmm. As I say, I'm quite impressed with the changes they've made in the library. Mm-hmm. We have to wind it up there. We've run out of time, but yeah, that's fine.
There's a lot of things going on. Thank you so much, Dorothy. That was great. That was wonderful.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry.